Tonight, we are going to witness the most anticipated match in the history of professional wrestling for the heavyweight championship of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
It takes a big man to admit when he was wrong, and, as the bigger man, maybe not in this physical sense, I was wrong about Wings of Redemption and Boogie 2988 actually signing the contracts to get in a fight with each other. Now, there's a lot of speculation going on out there about the validity of this entire event, whether or not they're going to throw the fight, how this is all going to work. Irregardless, it seems like it's at least going to happen. They have their own title card for them to fight. So it seems like it's going to go down. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And if you're sitting there and you ever wonder, man, I'm really into watching this lolcow content. I wonder who else is really intrigued into watching this type of content. Well, let me show you the type of people that are watching this content with you. That's right. Here's your typical saturated content subscriber. These are the people that we're all intermingling with. I don't go out of my way to find this stuff, but when I started to upload consistently again about the start of this year roughly, I was just poking around to see who subscribed to my channel. And wouldn't you know, I found this gold mine. Now, I'm not going to show their name, but you know who you are out there. And at the same time, you can't get mad. This is just public. I just went to your channel, it's the first thing I see on there, right? Don't get mad. I know this has nothing to do with this fight. I just had to get this out of the way because I just thought it was so funny, and at some point I had to bring it up into this. Either way, we're going to go over some different clips. There is a clip from Jordy training. There's a clip from Boogie talking about signing the contract, and there's a trailer video that Keemstar made that goes over this whole thing. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
You gonna knock me out one try? Watch this.
That is some pent-up anger that Kelly has had for a while there. It might be from her terrifying singing inside of church. It might be from that. We all dogged on Jordy for not wanting to go to church with her, but if this video is real, then I don't know, man. I'm starting to sort of understand a little bit.
A lot of people on TikTok recently have been saying, how can you spend your life brainwashed? Honey, I ain't brainwashed. I'm just crazy for Jesus. I'm living for Jesus.
At the same time, if this was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and you have 4 options of how old Jordy is, you have no recollection of anything about him. You don't know anything about lolcows. You're not subscribed to the Ebony Foot Picture channel. You're not any of that. How old would you think this guy is? Would you believe that he's in his mid-30s? It's quite preposterous if you really think about it. This man looks like he's at least 50. At least. He looks like your neighbor down the street that, their yard's kind of unkempt a little bit. They seem like an okay dude, but I don't know, not looking great. Wings is gonna absolutely bludgeon Boogie. You can just tell, Wings is able to get some of his hip movement into the hits. That's what they always say. It's when it comes to golf and boxing, the biggest things that you have to is your core, your ability to turn your body. That's how you get your power. And Boogie just looks like he's a flat cardboard boxer. He's like the the rock'em sock'em boxers, you know, where they're stiff and they just move their arms up and down. It just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to get any force into this fight. I don't know. I mean, Jordy was really using the power of 1,000 automobile wrecks to really throw some power into those punches, the sparring with Keemstar. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a very even fight. You know, they're sort of memeing it out with the pizza boxes. I guess they thought it'd be funnier that Boogie would take it better than Wings would if they used pizza boxes, or Boogie's just eating pizza all the time and they're like, fuck it, we ball.
And their history with me is I didn't show up to the camping trip, which I've showed up to everything else. I've always put it this way. I literally flew to Mexico and paid a man that doesn't speak English to cut my stomach out.
These two things are non sequiturs. They don't relate to each other at all. Him not showing up to the camping trip and getting kicked off of PKA doesn't mean that because he decided to follow through with his weight loss surgery that he's a consistent and punctual person, you know? It doesn't make any sense outside of the fact that he clearly siphoned funds from that surgery cost to buy new cars and a bunch of random wasted stuff. Also, he got the surgery and has failed at it and is now larger than ever. So, really makes you wonder how good of a person this dude really is. And the whole thing about whether or not he backs out on things, he does that all the time. On old PKA clips, he would always back out of stuff. You know, he would be the shock jock guy. But anytime that, like, any scenario got brought up, he would just back out. He just didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to put himself out there. It's understandable, but don't try and morph your history into being something that you're not.
It's like, I don't care if the YouTube thing works out or not. Like, honestly, it was great. It was a good experience of life. I wouldn't change it. But if I have to move on and do something else, it is what it is.
I have to apologize for the god-awful sound mixing going on in this video. You can't hear anything super well with the music going on. You know, I've had issues like that in the past. You know, I'm not a 500,000 subscriber channel like Keemstar with infinite funds to back it up. But you know, I've made mistakes in the past. There have been times that I haven't equalized my sound as well when the goblin is speaking too quietly and my voice is too loud. You know, either way, his whole comment about the YouTube thing is like, oh, like, I could do okay without it. I don't need it anymore. I enjoyed the experience. Like, that's not true. He talks about it all the time. He always says, I can't get a job. What are they going to say? I don't have any work experience for the past 15 years or whatever. You know, like, this dude is just lying through his teeth and he's expecting us to not know. I know that the Wings detractors are way more of a rabid fan base than Boogie's are. So I'm sure these guys are already making hit pieces. They're probably geolocating his position in this field. They're looking at this man that clearly is probably brewing some moonshine out in the woods out there. You know, there's a lot of investigations going on, I'm sure.
So about a year ago, Keemstar asked me if I wanted to fight for his company, Happy Punch. And I said yes. So he kept trying to find a fight for me. Originally same height, but obviously that dude would just murdered me. Then there was Ethan Ralph, who that just obviously didn't work because he's Ethan Ralph. Now this fight with Jordy's actually happening. As I am recording this right now, Keemstar and a boxer and my friend Michael, kid behind the camera, are flying to Arkansas to film tomorrow. And this fight is happening on May 13th. There's no backing out. This is it. It's done. It's a done deal. On May 13th, I'm in the ring with Wings of Redemption, period.
So this is the biggest red flag about the whole thing. I'm recording this on April 28th. I don't know which day this is going to be uploaded. Either way, we're what, like 3 weeks? 2.5 weeks away from the fight? Like, I don't, that, you know, I've seen some things from like Wingtings and Mr. YOLO. Like, I've seen some things. I don't keep up with this whole universe as much as I used to, of them speculating whether or not the fight is fake. And their whole rationale is that these two talk to each other a lot and they're giving each other tips and whatever. I don't think that's the smoking gun. I think it's partially how quickly they're getting thrown into this fight. I'm not expecting them to become chiseled, but I am expecting them to be able to function in a ring. You know, they can shadow box for a month, and yeah, sure, it's better than if they just went dry into the fight, but their stamina is not going to be there, their strength isn't going to be there. You know, if anything, they're shocking their system now. They're at a pretty decent risk for like injury to occur here. You know, I think the whole thing just feels like malpractice, and I know that there were some pictures that both Wings and Boogie got approved medically from some doctor, and it's like, what doctor is approving this? You know, the likelihood of one of them getting severely injured is probably massive, no pun intended. And Boogie goes on to talk about this in a little bit, about all the different complications that could arise.
Aren't you a 49-year-old man? Aren't you 400 pounds? Aren't you literally disabled by the United States government because you have a fused disc and arthritis in your knees? Don't you have polycythemia? Don't you have an enlarged heart? Don't you have asthma? And I just want to say to that person, yes to all of that. All of that is true. That is all true.
I didn't know that Boogie was almost 50. It makes me question a lot of his actions and motives that he's done in the past year or 2 years or so. Not great. Not a great look. This is how a 50-year-old man is behaving. Either way, he goes through all of his ailments, and I'm just supposed to sit here and be like, yeah, some doctor signed off on this. Him talking about how he's basically could cripple himself in the ring. And part of it is like, I don't think either one of them will be able to hit hard enough that like something severe will happen. It's more of a uncoordinated, you know, they fall or they get jabbed in a weird way and they stumble. That's where the problem comes in, because their own weight is what is going to impact their body worse than, you know, Jordy's punch or Boogie's slap, you know, whatever it is. It's more of a danger that they're gonna stumble and hurt themselves than anything.
Yes, it's one of the risks I'm taking. My dentist is very much not a fan of me doing this. I'm sorry, Dr. Anderson.
Yeah, so Boogie's really creepy ventriloquist puppet looking teeth are an issue, because I guess he had to do a lot of like structural work to fix his jaw and whatever to get his new teeth in. And it's essentially, if he gets punched too hard in the face, he could like destroy his teeth and have to permanently be on dentures. And it's like, we're doing all this over like what, $10,000 or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I know they're both destitute and they need money all the time, but I don't even know if that's worth it.
But Boogie, isn't Wings 10 years younger than you? Isn't he taller than you? Isn't he more mobile than you? Doesn't he have less health problems as you? Isn't he skinnier than you? Yeah, I think so. I think all that's true. Yeah, I'm definitely going into this as the underdog.
I don't think there's anything necessarily bad with him wanting to take this approach of like being an underdog and trying to fight for himself and whatever. It just feels like this is more of a cash grab type of event, because if he really wanted to be the underdog, he could set this fight up for whenever the next Happy Punch event is, you know, in 6 months or a year or whenever it is. That's the date that they fight. And then we see if they're both committed enough to lose the weight, get some actual training, show off what they're, you know, him going to this event isn't going to prove anything to me, at the very least, that he's committed or he's trying to reform his image or anything like that. This just feels like, this is a goofy type moment, you know. We're gonna put some scraggy ass beat in the background, you know. We're jamming out here. I don't know. It doesn't seem very genuine to me.
Yeah, I get to go to London, and I've always wanted to go. And on top of that, I do get paid. But it's not retirement money. It's not life-saving money. It's not risk your life and your health money.
That's an added complication that I don't think they really think of, is flying all the way to London. I don't know how far going from Arkansas or from South Carolina to London is. I'm assuming it's probably like 7-8 hours or something like that. how are they going to be able to sit there and be comfortable? I know that they sit in their chairs basically all day, but like, I know that they're not getting great circulation, plus being 13,000 feet in the air or whatever. I don't know, dude. Seems like that's an added risk that none of them have really thought about.
Influencer certainly does. Every content creator, they want attention, right? But what I want to do with that attention is pure, man. I want to help people. I've always wanted to help people.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very genuine of you, Mr. Boogie. Mr. criticizing your fans all the time, and not even a year ago begging for money after you acted like a complete buffoon and lost your fortune. Yeah, I'm sure your genuine care for the world is that you wanna do right for people. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds about right. You know, when you're up on top of the hill, you gloat and you act like you're the king. But then when you get knocked down and you fall down into the mud pie with the peasants, now you're trying to act like a man of the people. Stop being fake. You know, I see right through it. It's pretty pathetic.
If I can lumber my giant body into that ring and take a beating and hopefully dish one out as well, if I can take this calculated risk and get the best possible outcome, then hopefully I show the people watching that they can take the calculated risk as well and get the best possible outcome. And hopefully they will be a little less afraid to do the things they need to do. If I can face my fears, then you can face yours. You can learn that by watching this.
I don't see how watching two lolcows beat the piss out of each other is gonna inspire anybody to make a change in their life. If anything, this event's gonna go on and it's gonna be pretty pathetic, and then everybody's gonna be like, ugh, not sure about that one, Chief. Not so sure about that one.
110%. I want to earn back some of my self-respect. I want to prove to myself that I can face my fears. I want to prove to myself that I can rise to the challenges that I've created for myself in this life and overcome them.
So instead of like working on his channel and trying to make the best content he possibly can, he has shifted to the idea that doing a lolcow fight just to be mocked by a bunch of people is really going to win his respect back. I'm not sure about that one, Chief. Even if you get beat up and you lose, I don't know if you're going to get those sympathy points that you used to.
I've tried to message you personally a few times. You don't seem to be into it, so let me just go ahead and say it here, okay? Good luck, man. I hope we both use this opportunity to better our lives and better our self-esteem and better our futures. And I love and respect you, brother. And I hope we put on a good show. And I hope nobody gets hurt. But if someone has to get hurt, I hope it's you.
I'm not sure you want to associate with somebody like that, Boogie. Doesn't seem like a great idea. Either way, that wraps up this next arc of the fight. I guess the next part will be watching the fight and getting some commentary on that potentially. If it's worthwhile, I'll look into it. Either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go subscribe to that guy's channel. Go watch some feet videos. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Boogie 2988, Wings of Redemption.